would you, your mic is probably, thank you.
Karen Champagne with the People LLC. I just have some questions. Do we currently have a contract with inBloom?
Yes, it's not a procured contract. It's a partnership agreement.
We have a partnership agreement, and who authorized it?
The department. Just as a school board authorizes, every school board in this state has
Doesn't the law require that Bessie has to authorize any data collection system that we use?
When you ask me a question, I answer it. I'd ask that I be able to answer it. This is not a procured contract. It's not something that the department has brought before Bessie. I'm happy to talk, members, with you about policy regarding these issues. I think we're going to be talking a lot about, both with the legislature and with Bessie, regarding policy on those questions. But as with a school board, they may make a partnership, and they do all the time, to share their information of their students with private organizations who then use those data to provide programs back to the students. We, too, have a partnership with this organization that is bound by federal and state laws to not be shared beyond those confines. It is a data storage place, a place where we store information. No one else can use it, and that is an agreement that's bound by federal and state law.
Doesn't inBloom provide a disclaimer that they cannot guarantee the safety of the information?
I cannot. I don't have it on hand. I don't have their information on hand. But they are bound by federal and state law.
Don't you think at all that parents should have the authority, not the state, of whether or not their child's information is shared with anyone?
No, I think that's something.
How are you going to guarantee my child's safety?
I think that's something we're going to talk to the legislature about. But please know that, and you're asking, I think, exactly the right questions. I agree with you. I'd be concerned if I were in your shoes as well. And I think every parent is concerned, of course, about the welfare of their child and their information. For decades in this state, since the advent of computers, information has been stored digitally. It has been given to school systems because they need to know the names of their kids. They need to keep a record of their addresses and their gender and their race and so on. And they store it. The reason that has not been breached is the extraordinarily stiff penalties that come with such a breach. And that practice is being continued at the state with the highest of protections.
I want to know from Bessie if there is anything that we can do to, first of all, look into who actually did authorize this, because it's pretty clear that any kind of partnership agreement, I mean, I'm still not understanding where the authority comes from.
There's no
you can call it a partnership agreement. It's a contract.
We, as a state, store data now. That's what we're doing today. That's what we'll do tomorrow, is we store the data.
So why wasn't it brought before Bessie?
Because we've been doing it for decades. We've been storing data for decades. It's not new. It's not a new.
It's a new system.
It's not a new practice.
It's a new system,
it's merely a new
and
provider.
It's pretty clear that the law states that Bessie has to approve.
It's merely a new provider that is bound by the same laws that every other provider who's provided this for the state has been bound by. Now, if we,
okay, but
the legislature,
you all were elected to represent us and protect our interests and the interests of our children, and that's not being done.
I would suggest,
just to sit here and say that it's been done for years doesn't fly.
Ma'am, I would suggest.
Okay, we're not okay with it. We're not okay with you all saying that y'all are going to give out our children's information. It is not okay.
Well, first of all, let me restate this, and I appreciate your time, and your time is up.
Oh, I'm sure it is up.
No, we, in fact, said we're not going to share our students' information. That's actually what we said.
Mr. White just said that y'all were sharing our children's information.
Only under the bounds of the federal law, when it deals with serving the educational purposes of the kids. But right now, the inBloom contract, the inBloom agreement that you're referring to, is merely a data site. It's a storage data site, nothing more than that. And any further use of that information would be bound by a new agreement if, in fact, one ever arose. That's where we said. inBloom, which is what people are here to talk about today, is a data storage device.
And a data sharing system as well.
No. It's a data storage device. Any further information would have to be approved by the state.
It's called the Shared Learning Collaborative.
Ma'am, I'm telling you what the agreement says. I appreciate your time. Angela Alice.